Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Superstars of Wrestling review series on Pro Wrestling Logic. We go to February 13th, 1993, day before Valentine's Day in 93. Shawn Michaels and Tatanka in a non-title Intercontinental non-title match here. Of course, Michaels is your Intercontinental Champion off winning from the British Bulldog. Tatanka still undefeated in the area since coming in. This is probably one of the better Tatanka matches. Maybe not the best match he ever had. I would say the best match Tatanka ever had was the WrestleMania 9 match. However, Shawn Michaels has the ability, big surprise here, as a Hall of Famer, to elevate just about anybody, including Tatanka. Tatanka does get a good bit of offense in this particular contest. Chops, chases Michaels around on the outside for several minutes. Hits some, hip tosses and more chops by Tatanka. Michaels does a lot of backing down, a lot of running around, a lot of begging off, as a classic heel would do. When you consider that Michaels, at least in WWE land, has only been a heel for about a year and some months, he's really, really advanced in that year. Not that anyone should be surprised. It's not the first time he's been a heel. But anyway, tossed over the top rope by Michaels to create some separation. Lots of sympathy from the fans for Tatanka on that account. Michaels rolls out, does some offensive maneuvers, and takes Tatanka back in. They basically are given a good eight or 9 minutes here, where they go through a commercial, which is rare for superstars in the early '90s or before. Michaels gets chin locks. Tatanka barely gets out. Michaels, you can easily see, starting to get frustrated at this point. Beautiful standing drop kick though by Shawn. This is one of the superstars matches I honestly would say go out of your way to see if you are a Shawn Michaels fan, or if you're a worker who's trying to learn the art of elevating a babyface. Tremendously well done match. Sunset flip by Tatanka, gets it temporarily, gets a near fall on that. Then Tatanka gets sent into the buckle, mounts a major comeback, several chops, and Michaels does a tremendous job of selling those. The attempted Samoan drop by Tatanka and doesn't get where he wants to be. Michaels misses the super kick, and Tatanka manages to slide off the back of the reverse back suplex, and Tatanka gets the win with the Samoan drop. 1, 2, 3. So huge shock at the time. First time that Michaels probably had been pinned on television in several months, maybe since the winning the Intercontinental title in November. So I mean, you're looking at 2 or 3 months of television. Yokozuna, Mr. Fuji, basically says that Duggan is a coward, Duggan is weak, etc., and so forth. Then we go to a Steiner's squash match. Al Burke and Larry Sampson against the Steiner brothers. Steiners are still haven't found their groove here. They don't really find their groove and have an amazing match. I mean, they have good matches, don't get me wrong, but a real amazing match doesn't come for them until probably SummerSlam of this year, which unfortunately we won't get to cover because the let me get my phone here, folks, and we will move along. I'll be back in 1 minute. And so the Steiners are running through things here. As mentioned, the Steiners really don't find a lot of strength in their push for a while yet. Rick Steiner more the power guy, Scott more the finesse and style guy. Nothing wrong with either of those approaches, but they are very different. A top rope bulldog by the Steiners is pretty intense for a WWF, environment, and they are allowed to do more than a lot of teams have done. By '93, Vince hadn't given up on tag teams yet. I don't think Vince gave up on tag teams being really impactful as a major thing probably until 99, 2000 ish. Not to say that they didn't have tag team feuds. They did. The Hardys, the Dudleys, and that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe 2002. But the idea is tag team still had value here. Speaking of just different talent having value, Berserker's still here. Berserker without Mr. Fuji. Kind of weird that they moved him away without really an angle. He's talking about wanting to go after everyone from Bret Hart to The Undertaker to whomever. Kamala and Slick talk about um, getting revenge on Harvey Whippleman. They're gonna move him into something with Bam Bam Bigelow in time for WrestleMania, which I don't think that match actually happens if I remember correctly. Then we go to the narcissist Lex Luger versus Larry Ludden. Luger has a really shiny robe at this point, like super shiny, like literally you need sunglasses and shades. Um, Luger does such basic stuff, and I mean Luger always has been. While I enjoy certain Lex Luger matches, I probably think uh, there's maybe 12 matches in his career. I'm just throwing a number out there that I really, really liked, and even lesser opponents. I really like his stuff with Flair. I really like his stuff with Steamboat. I really like his Super Bowl match with Sting, Sting and the Steiners. But it's like he has to be in there with the right guy, and I don't think WWF wise they ever found the right guy for Lex Luger. Even the Bret Hart stuff, and I remember seeing house shows of it. It was just uninspired, and so he uses power early. He is always posing, and at this point, I don't know if the plan was to turn him into a Hulk Hogan miniature, but it doesn't seem that there was. I think by this point, Vince probably thought that he was going to keep Hogan around. Vertical suplex by Luger, by the way, which is again, but I mean, he hits the double bicep pose after every move, and I will say he makes more sense to me as a heel than he does as a babyface. Beautiful power slam by Luger, and then they run with the loaded arm for a while, and he hits a forearm off the basis of a motorcycle accident that is pretty intense. Then we go to a WrestleMania 9 report. Uh, they edited the music, so I don't know if they don't own the original music to WrestleMania 9 or what the deal was, but that's there. Undertaker and Giant Gonzalez has announced Bret Hart and um, the Yokozuna is announced from the Royal Rumble, and Crush and Doink is announced. I cannot believe that Crush and Doink is a thing, but it was at WrestleMania 9. Just shows you how far things had fallen in 1993. Crush versus White Shadow is up next. And Crush, again, coming off of the angle with Doink and everything that goes on there. Uh, White Shadow seems to be just an enhancement guy that's around for maybe a couple of shows in a mask and doing all that. Fans in the crowd wearing Caesar's Palace stuff. Kind of interesting. Crush does a military press slam several times with the guy. Throws him to the floor, throws him back into the ring with the same military press. White Shadow gets one or two offensive maneuvers, nothing major. Hits a bear hug, which is kind of an interesting move for a babyface, at least in 1993. Backbreaker by Crush and hits the cranium crunch, and away we go. Brutus Beefcake basically discusses returning, says that God and Hulk Hogan were behind him. Vince lays the whole story out. Beefcake's face is very bloated, but he has plates and screws and all that in his face, and I don't know that his face ever completely looked the same again. Um, Amazing to me, though, I mean, his wife leaves him. Both his parents passed away, and the parasailing accident, all within like a year and a half of each other. Takes 2 years for him to get back in shape to be able to return. I don't understand why they didn't do more with him. I think there was maybe some fear that he might not be able to return to a full time schedule at the time. I don't know what that looks like. And Hogan leaves by before SummerSlam of '93. So there's that too, that maybe they weren't going to push a guy knowing that Hogan's one of Hogan's best friends and Hogan's leaving. What's the point of pushing, one of his best friends? Giant Gonzalez 3-on-1, Spicoli, Bobby Blaze, and enhancement talent Farron. I don't remember. I didn't write down his first name. Harvey Whippleman bringing Giant Gonzalez, who again the full fur bodysuit. If you've never seen Giant Gonzalez, well, lucky for you, but worth looking at because they almost kind of made him Cro-Magnon or something. Anyway, the guy's run away and he's just scary looking and wants to get at the Undertaker Event Center. Tito Santana talks about the future of the WWF and all the competition, talks about being around for so long and being thankful for the fans. Papa Shango says that people need to fear him and fear Voodoo. And Bob Backlund talks about wanting to be back and is grateful for being a role model for your children. Then, in the last probably less than 90 seconds of the program, there's a challenge between Bam Bam Bigelow and Earthquake for next week on Superstars, and they are going to do battle. So, that closes us out. We'll be back with more right after this.